are the ones we have been waiting for. Some of you may be familiar with this line as it was paraphrased and utilized in one of President Obama's speeches around environment and care for the earth. We are the ones we have been waiting for. Some of you, this may harken back to freedom and liberation movements tied to Nelson Mandela and South Africa. For others, it may be tied to the liberation of women and the work for feminism in the 1970s. We are the ones we have been waiting for. This is a phrase that over the last 25 years has been used. Some attribute it back to Native American Hopi legend and story. Others to more modern-day civil rights movements. But as we come to this day, I invite you to dwell deeply in what this might mean when we say, we are the ones we have been waiting for. And I will let you know that the first time I sang a song with these words, it caught me off guard. And I didn't feel completely comfortable. Because as we come to Advent, it's not been me or we that I've been waiting for. It's God in Jesus. This one who breaks into our lives and into our world, who lays claim on both who we are and yet who we can be. This is the one that I have been waiting for. Not we. However, I have been challenged in my thinking around this because just as we understand Jesus coming in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago, we need to be reminded that Jesus continues to break into our world and into our lives every single day, changing us, transforming us, and that we in this moment are the ones that we are waiting for. To show up. To show up and hear again the words of Isaiah. To show up and hear the words of John the Baptizer. To show up and live and be in a new way. Are you all ready to show up? Are you ready to show up today? And it's not a question to be taken lightly. What does it mean when the people of Israel are longing richly and deeply for a place of peace and transformation in their midst? When people will gather and look to a new day on God's holy mountain, when there won't be fighting or war, when even the animals in creation shall come together in a new way of being, living peacefully, transformed and changed. What does that mean and what does that look like? Are we ready for that? If we show up, looking to this God who does transform and make all things new, what is going to happen to us? And I think about those Pharisees and Sadducees who went out to the River Jordan. What happens when they show up? Are they welcomed with open arms, told how wonderful they are, how great they have been doing in Jerusalem, what leadership they have within their temple and synagogues? Or does John the Baptizer have another word for them? Oh, you brood of vipers, why are you fleeing from what is there? Why are you coming here now? What happens when we show up? Part of our Advent journey, I think, is to show up like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. To listen, to be awake, as we heard last week. And to think about Where are the places in our lives where John the Baptizer's voice is going to echo and say, "You brood of vipers, you crazy people, you broken people, you sinful people. Why now? Are you just showing up because you think that what's happening in Washington, D.C. isn't ever going to get any better? Or are you showing up because you've read the latest things about what is happening in the Catholic Church in Minnesota and across the country, and you're longing for some hope in the midst of the church? Are you just going to show up because day after day after day you hear more bad news about the environment and wonder if we can ever be transformed or changed? Oh, you brood of vipers. Do you not get that right now you are part of the problem? But he doesn't leave it there. John offers baptism to those who come to the river. And he proclaims that there is one who is going to transform the world in ways that we cannot imagine. And we're going to struggle with that. Now, when we get to this piece about the wheat and the chaff and the trees that are going to be cut down, we like to point our fingers and say, "Oh, it's the people in Washington." Or it's a representative that's just up the way. Or it's that person in the church. Or maybe it's this situation. And we can escape that. What happens when we go more deeply and realize that in the teachings of Martin Luther, we are simultaneously justified and sinful or broken, which is often described more commonly as we are simultaneously saint and sinner. And what happens when we realize that some of the tree that needs to be cut down or some of the chaff that needs to be thrown out isn't just out there, but it's in here? That each and every one of us needs to experience transformation. I love the Chinese proverb that we utilized a little bit with the children's sermon today about finding peace first in yourself before you can, in your own life, before you can have peace within your family, your community, your nation, and your world. You see, this is why I can say and pray that we are the ones we have been waiting for. Because God comes to us and makes a home in our lives, in Advent, in Christmas, and throughout the year, day in and day out. And moment by moment changes us. So that our heart and our mind can get a little bit broader grasp of what it means to live in peace and harmony with one another. What it means to live in peace and harmony with the whole of creation. What it means to live in peace and harmony with the Holy One. The name beyond all names. The one beyond all images.